Hi everyone. So most states now have a mask order if you're going to go out in public or on the store, and some are handing out tickets and even arrests in some cases if you get on a bus. So I'm going to give you a quick way to make a mask at home. If you can just sew even a straight line, you'll be okay. So this is a child's one I made, but each one of these masks have a chenille stem here for comfort and to fit around the nose so that it's tight. They have a lycra elastic so that it can fit around the ears like so. They have pleats in them here so that it can lock around. Obviously this is smaller, but you can see thing. And they have a pocket for the filter to go into. The filter that you're going to use is I cut up a brand new heater filter into a size that will fit. So you want to just make it a little bit smaller than the mask so that it can slide right into that pocket. I think I forgot this step in the video, so just so you know, it slides right in there, and it offers a much better layer of protection than just a cotton mask. I think it's like with the filter, it's supposed to be like rated 87% if you have 2 layers of cotton and the filter, versus 37% if you only have the cotton. And as you know, N95 masks are the best, but if you don't have that available to you, this is a great way to protect your family, and you can do it in fabrics that you like, so that's kind of nice. So join me for the next steps. Step 1, you're going to cut 2 squares of 7.5 inches by 8 inches. The first square is going to be of one fabric. The second square is going to be of another pattern. Step 2, you're going to take your 2 squares, wrong sides together, and you're going to stitch a single stitch across the top. You now have your single stitch across here that binds the two. Now you're going to create another single stitch here and another single stitch here, about 1.5 inches across, so that you can create that little pocket that the filter is going to go into. Okay, now you have your 1.5 inch stitch here and your 1.5 inch stitch there. Ignore my mistake. You can kind of eyeball these as long as it's out enough that you can flip it over. So if you're sewing them really quick, don't bother to measure because it's really not important. Now you're going to take this and you're going to flip this right side out, and you're going to see why you have the 2 colors. Ultimately, this is going to provide protection so that when you take off the mask, you know what side was exposed to viruses and such. So you have this, and now you can see here where the pocket is. You're going to take this edge, you're going to fold it under, push that out of the way, and you're going to stitch along here just to lock that in place. Okay, so now you can see where I stitched across the top there, which creates that little pocket. Now what you're going to do is you're going to flip it over, and you're going to create basically a 1/2 inch here at the top. You're going to have that turned over. And you'll see why in a minute. And you're going to stitch along this edge here, basically locking that piece down. You're going to go in very thin along here, very thin along there, and very thin along there, maybe like 1/4 of an inch, till you get to the top here. So now you see that we have the stitch that goes across here, the stitch that goes very thin along here, maybe it's like not even 1/4 of an inch, all the way across the bottom here, all the way up. One of the time-saving tips is you don't need to back stitch any of these steps so far, because basically you're going back over them enough times that they're going to lock in. So that can save you some time if you're mass producing these for family, friends, or for healthcare workers. So that's got us up to here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take one of these. I recommend using a chenille stem rather than a regular wire. This extra padding here makes it much more comfortable to wear. What you have to remember though is do not microwave these to sanitize these. There's metal in this, and that would be very, very bad. So you're going to slide it in here, and I cut this a little bit shorter than end to end here, so that when you're stitching it, it's not getting stitched in place, because that makes a pokey part that kind of hurts. So basically you're going to leave it so that there's a little bit, see, there's a little bit on either side. Slide that in, and then what you're going to do is you're going to take this and you're going to push it out to the right side out. This is the right side out, the pattern in my case. And you're going to make one little fold here, another little fold there, and another little fold here. Now, in all honesty, you could just gather it instead, but I like this. I feel like it fits better a little bit there. Oh, our chenille stem's popping out. And what you're going to do is you're going to stitch along the side here and along the side there. Now, when you're mass producing this, you'll notice that sometimes they don't always come out the same on either sides. Honestly, it doesn't make any difference. When it fits on your face, it opens up anyways. So I wouldn't be too hard on yourself. I would just, you know, make as many as you can and spread them out so we can get this coronavirus kicked out of our lives for good. So anyways, I'll come back with the next step. Okay, so we've gotten to here and you've stitched up the side here and up the side here. Again, time-saving tip. Don't bother to back stitch because you're not going to need to, because you're going to go back over this 2 more times, so it's really not necessary. Now I need to cut 2 adult biases. This needs to be 5 inches this way, 2.5 inches this way, and they should be the same fabric, but honestly it doesn't really matter if it doesn't matter to you. So then you're going to take your mask and you're going to put this along the right side and you're going to fold over the edges and you're going to stitch along the side here. Basically, you want to make sure that you're covering over those stitches when you flip it so that you won't see those when it's flipped out. So go ahead and do that. Don't worry again about back stitching because you're not going to need it, because you're going to go over this yet again another time. Okay, so you've done that on both sides. So now this is what it should look like. So you're going to go ahead and flip it inside or right side out, just like this. And you're going to end up with a piece like that. Then you're going to take 2 pieces of stretch. I've done these 8 inches a piece. I'm using kind of like a lycra material. People are telling me that this is way more comfortable than the elastic or the ties. And honestly, when you figure healthcare workers are wearing these all day, sometimes 12-hour shifts, I think that's really important. So that's what I'm doing. So I cut basically a 1/2 inch piece by about 8 inches. And then I pull it really nice and it comes out kind of like this. And it's really comfortable on the ears. I've had to wear this a lot and I'm not finding any discomfort. So you're going to take that. You're going to have 2 of those. And you're going to take this piece here and you're going to fold it over. And you can kind of just eyeball it, but fold it over here. And then you're going to kind of capture that piece in the middle. And, oops, my hands are kind of... And then you're going to flip it over like this. And you're going to sew along the edge here. Now, this one you do want to double or back stitch. And you want to do it really good because there's going to be a lot of pressure here and a lot of pressure here. So you want to make sure that you're getting that locked in place without actually tacking down the elastic, because you want the elastic to move freely. And I'll show you why in a minute. All right, so now you have that. It's been tacked down on the back there, you can see. And you see the elastic, it's free moving. Now the reason for this is that if you need to replace this, you need it to not be locked down anywhere inside. So what if someone needs to replace it, they can make basically a needle out of a chenille stem. Basically you just take the edge there and you make a little hole there and you twist it. You run some elastic through that and then you re-slide that through. And that will make a replacement piece out of elastic. So just a future tip, just in case you need to do that if it gets shredded or something. Then what you're going to do is you're going to tie it here really nice and tight. And you're going to tie it there. And there we go. And so there you see, it's finished. So that's the outside. This is the inside. You can even flip it like day to day if you want to, if you're washing it. But ultimately, this is the protected side. So when you take it off to eat or to rest or something, you know that this is the side with the virus on it. Now, I would definitely wash it by hand every single day in between uses. But let's just say you were having lunch or something and you took it off. You know not to put this side, the virusy side, back on your skin. It's important too that before you put a mask on or before you take it off, that you're washing your hands in between, because it doesn't make any sense to grab it with germy hands and then stick it against your face. So I will come back in just a second to show you what it looks like on. Okay, so I have our finished mask here. Again, this is the wrong side and this is the outside. You have your chenille stem in there, so you can take it and bend it to your face so it stays. These go right over the ears. They're super comfortable. If they need to be tightened for individual people, I recommend making them this size, but then they can just tie an extra knot to make it tighter. And then this just folds over the face like this. I have kind of a smaller face, so it's bigger on me. It sits close. The tighter it is, the closer it will fit, as you can see. I'm going to have another video to make some ear savers out of various materials, and also to make some headbands that have buttons on them that these can fit onto, so especially for healthcare workers or anyone who's having to wear it long term, so that there isn't any pain. But I can tell you that this, the way I've made it versus a few of the other ways that I've tried, is honestly the most comfortable. You don't really even notice it's there after like a minute or so. So thank you, and I hope to see you back.